Hey everybody, what is going on? It has been a while since we've done a video, and this one is a bit overdue. Today I'm going to be talking about this rifle right here, specifically the upper. The upper is a Bear Creek Arsenal 7.62 by 39 upper. The lower is just a standard Aero Precision lower, Palmetto State Armory lower build kit. I've had this gun for a little over a year now. And I never really considered, for a long time, I never considered wanting a 7.62 by 39 AR. I always thought eventually I'd just get into AKs, and that would be why I'd get into that caliber. But I'm a pretty AR-centric guy, and it just started to make more sense to me as I looked at, ammo prices. I realize now with the current geopolitical conditions what they are, the Russian ammo's going to keep steadily increasing and probably never get back down to where it was. But it's still fairly cheap to buy steel case Russian ammo as of the making of this video. And for something like a pig gun, which is kind of what I wanted to do with this, it certainly hits a lot harder than like a 223 on a pig. And I'm a stickler about picking up all my brass, so it really helps me mentally if I'm shooting steel case and I can just leave it wherever I shoot it. So we'll start at the front here and work our way back, and then I'll talk a little bit about the gun's performance and roll in some shooting footage here. But so up front, I've just got this is my YHM Phantom LT can. I had an old flash hider laying around. I don't know if I've showed this before, but the YHM flash hiders have this super annoying, really pointy stuff on the end. And so what I've done with all my old ones that were like that is I just took them and on a bench grinder, ground them down as evenly as I could. I've shot groups with all the guns that I've done that on, and it doesn't seem to have affected accuracy in any way. So there's still enough for the silencer to index on up here. So shaving a little bit off doesn't really hurt that, but it just means if you put this in the floorboard of your vehicle or accidentally touch something at all, it's not going to cut a hole in it. So that's something I've been doing. Like I said, this is just an old one I had laying around. So this is a this is an eBay knockoff of a Surefire 600V. It takes two CR123s. I actually have a rechargeable battery in there. So this is a switchable head from white light to IR light. I like the fact that you can switch between white and IR, and it keeps the clutter at the front end of your gun minimal, but it's not the best IR light ever. This is just a Surefire. This is a Holosun IR laser, red laser combo. It's just a laser. It's not an illuminator. And then I have a Surefire pressure pad that has a switch. So this is something actually annoying. It doesn't have an option to activate the light and the laser at the same time. You get one button for each. So if you want to hit one button to activate and shoot, it doesn't work out that way. So generally what you have to do if you want to use both at the same time is you have to double tap your laser to keep the laser on and then just activate your light when you need it. It probably won't stay this way, but this is the way I've got it set up for now. To make room for all that, I just moved the front sight back a little bit. Irons at this point are not really a priority. So this is a, I've done a video about this. This is a Stinger Axiom, I think it is, red dot. And I put it on a little, this is just a UTG riser. But I did that to get it up high enough to shoot with night vision. It's helpful to have your sight up a little bit higher. This does have night vision settings, and it does work decently well as long as you've got a good illuminator. So it's not exactly passive night vision shooting, because you do need to use an illuminator, because these cheap red dots are just, they don't transfer enough light to see through with a I have a PVS 14, so they just don't gather enough light to see through and see your target very well without some external IR illumination to kind of light up the target. So I got a little ahead of myself. This is the Mlok Rail that comes with the gun. Overall, it's a solid handguard. It locks up very tight. This is kind of an old school attachment system. Not a lot of people use this anymore, but it does hold really tight. It doesn't move at all. So as far as mounting an IR laser that you're using, you know, as an aiming device, it's pretty good for that. It is kind of heavy. The barrel that comes on this upper is really heavy and thick. It's very accurate. Don't get me wrong, but it is heavy. Behind the gas block, I mean, it's more than the diameter of the gas block from here back to the chamber. So it's a heavy forend with all this combined for sure. Coming back, like I said, arrow precision lower. These are ASC magazines. Bear Creek Arsenal recommends the ASC magazines. It's what I could find at the time. I'm sure the C products work fine. I haven't actually had any problems with these ASC magazines. I know these aren't everybody's favorite. I did notice you can load 33 rounds into these. I will note that if you load 33 rounds, you're probably not going to get, when you go to charge a first round, you're probably not going to get it to strip that round out of there. So, you know, in a 223 magazine, I would load 29 or 28 anyway. So I just load these to 29 or 30 just like I normally would, and it's not a problem. I did put as you can tell, I put a rattle can paint job on it. Just because I think it looks kind of cool. Performance-wise, the first shots out of the gun I fired unsuppressed, and I noticed right off the bat that it tends toward the undergassed end of the spectrum. So I actually really like that. It took a little bit to break it in, a couple magazines, a few hundred rounds maybe, before I felt like it was good and broken in. But the first couple magazines, it would sometimes fail to lock back. It would sometimes not pick up a round. I noticed when I put the silencer on it that I got very little gas back, and it's really, for a 7.62x39, it's a very light recoiling gun. So like I said, I think the gas is just on the bleeding edge of being not quite enough. But what's nice is I always, for the most part, I'm going to run my silencer on this. Once you put the silencer on there, you get that extra back pressure. It runs perfectly. And now that I've got a couple hundred rounds in it, I'm probably a little less than 500 rounds in it now. Taking the silencer off and shooting it, it runs fine now. So one thing I did, the extractor on this bolt, it looks a little rough. Not that there's necessarily anything wrong with it, but it doesn't look like it's machined the best. And from everything that I've heard and read says that the Achilles heel of the 7.62x39 AR upper is the bolt, being that you have to machine more out of the bolt head, that the lug area is thinner, and also the extractor is a lot thinner. So you're going to either break extractors or you're going to shear lugs off bolts. So going in, I knew that I was going to want to find a good source of replacement bolts, maybe keep a bolt on hand, and keep a couple extractors on hand. So there was a little bit of confusion. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Focus Trip, which if you're watching a Bear Creek Arsenal Upper video, you probably are. He's done a lot of reviews of Bear Creek Arsenal stuff, and on their 7.62 stuff, I know I saw in one of his videos that he said that the specs they use for their chamber in their 7.62x39 are actually what are essentially 6.5 Grindle bolt depth specs. So I guess there's two different bolt depths. So I had to go back and look that up. The standard 7.62x39 bolt face is recessed 0.125. And I guess the Grindle, the final Grindle version is different than that. So I actually emailed their customer service and I asked them, hey, I want to buy a spare bolt for this gun. Do I need to get a 6.5 Grindle bolt or do I need to get a 7.62x39 bolt? Their customer service told me that their bolt is recessed 0.125, which would be a 7.62x39. So that's what I know. I haven't bought a spare bolt yet. I suppose maybe when I do that, I should probably get a set of go and no-go gauges just to make sure when I do. I did buy a spare extractor. I got one from I think it was White Oak Armory, something like that. And I went ahead and put that in. And I tend to think that helped the gun run a little better. It was around the same time that I had gotten a few rounds in it. I'd started running it suppressed, I put the extractor in there, and I haven't had any hiccups since then. It's ran flawlessly, so I don't know if the extractor had anything to do with that. It did look better than the one that came in it, and that's the one that I'll keep using, and I'll probably buy some spares either from them or somebody else, but it was a 7.62x39 extractor that I used, and it seems to run fine. So other than the short break-in period that it seemed to require, it's ran great. I'm really happy with it. It was really cheap and it's accurate. It's fun to shoot. It's gassed really well. So I have no complaints. Like I said, a little rattle can spray paint job. Looks pretty good. Works pretty good. I'm happy with it.